You talk about you being a kid and everything. So growing up, playing obviously hockey there, and you have some family that's
Yeah,
a lot of hockey,
yeah,
involved there.
yeah.
You want to talk about Fitzy and
Yeah, so my 2 cousins are, Keith Kachuk and Tommy Fitzgerald, and they have kids that are a little younger than me and my brother, but it's been hockey our whole entire life, like, growing up, everyone's like, "Oh, you're a big Bruins fan." I'm like, "Not really, I love Jumbo Thornton and stuff," but, we weren't really the biggest Bruins fans because every time that the Blues or the Coyotes or whatever team Fitzy was on, he played for a bunch of teams, came into town, my dad would take whatever class I was in, our whole hockey team, and we would miss school and just go watch this team practice, whether it was at, like, BU or Northeastern, and we'd all be sitting down there with the books for everyone to sign,
oh,
and
Oh, that's
that must
awesome.
have
these
been
guys
unreal
oh, it
as a
was
kid,
unbelievable, but
man.
these
Yeah.
guys
Wow.
probably saw me for, like, if Keith was on a team for more than 5, 6 years, the guys were probably like, "Alright, this kid, how many autographs can this fucking kid get?" Like,
Him
holy
again.
shit, but I was the cool kid in class. My dad would
I
always get the
bet.
bus and bring us to practice and stuff. So, yeah, like, we grew up just adoring Kachuk and Fitzgerald, my whole life. I wanted to be just like them, and it's fun now because now me and my brother were in the NHL, and their kids are in the NHL,
Yeah,
AHL,
it's
really good
crazy.
players,
Yeah.
and we would always Keith has a Cape house, and we have a Cape house as well. So every year, like, we would just go down to Keith's house and have a wiffle ball tournament, and, like, thinking back then, like, there was 8 to 9 NHL players in that playing in that wiffle ball tournament
Yeah,
that
right.
Yeah,
have
it's crazy.
come through the times and all play in the NHL now, so it's really cool. It's fun to kinda we won't play them this year, but to see Matthew and Brady and kinda no one really realizes that we're cousins and stuff, but it's really cool to know that these are the kids when I was younger, they looked up to me and my brother thinking that we were awesome because we were first round draft picks, second round draft picks, playing for BC, and Keith's kids wouldn't even listen to Keith because he was a fourth liner on the
Yeah, that's what
Blues.
that's what's that's so funny,
He's a
hey?
Hall of Famer, and
Right.
Yeah.
and he's asking us, "Hey, tell Matthew this, tell Brady this." I'm like, "Dude, you were a Hall of Fame player." Like, but at that time, that's how kids work. Whatever you see in front of you on TV is who you listen to, and
Yeah.
it's just really cool to kinda I remember when I was leaving college, deciding where I wanted to play, I called Keith and Tommy and, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And Matthew and Brady had an easier road, but yeah, it's just a really cool whole situation in the family,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, that's
I
it.
don't know what else I would do in life if I didn't play hockey, so, like, should I go to class more, or do I really focus on being a hockey player? And then I had a really bad injury my junior year, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you are never gonna play hockey ever again. Like, this was your last game." And at the time, I was all drugged up from surgery that I didn't know what he was saying. My dad was like, "No, no, he needs to play hockey. Like, sorry." So, like, from that moment on, I think it was kind of like an eye-opening experience for me being like, "All right, stop being an idiot off the ice, focus more. Like, if you really want to do something that you tell yourself every day that this is your ultimate job, you got to kind of focus more." So I started doing all the right things that everyone talks about, eating the right way, training the right way, making serious sacrifices to be a good player. And I came back my senior year and got to play with Johnny Gaudreau, and we put on an absolute
Amazing.
show.
You had like
So
72 points or
yeah, it
something
was
like that. You
crazy.
had a
It
crazy
was
year,
insane.
Yeah.
especially
So, like,
college,
but
right? Like,
even before then, like, yeah, college you only played 30 games.
yeah, I mean that's
That's
insane amount
insane,
of
yeah.
It's
points.
wild. And like, I always wanted to go to the NHL because it's just an easy path. I played hockey my whole entire life. Every kid wants to go to the NHL.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't think until my senior year of college where I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life,
Wow.
and hopefully it works out.
That's
Yeah.
amazing actually. Because I
So
read
like
somewhere that you said like it was like the worst best thing that ever
exactly,
happened to you.
like I had 4
Just
surgeries,
scary.
4 surgeries, eh? What
and
was the
like
actual it was a knee on your
compartment syndrome, and like my knee blew up, and they couldn't uh, do surgery because it was so swollen, so they had to release it, and then they had to take all the fascia out of my
is
leg.
that like the old Cam Neely?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's
and
major.
and then, like, that happened on February 26th, and the next time I skated for the first time was my first senior year practice, and even my coach was like, you can probably find it in an interview, he was like, "Just because Kevin's a good guy, we're gonna let him on the team, like, we don't think he's gonna help our team this year," and then
No
all
way.
of a sudden
72
yeah,
Wow,
points
man.
later.
yeah, it was crazy. It
That's
was a fun
insane.
year, though.
So what was it like coming from New York and the rivalry against Philly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
suiting up.
Yeah, on that side
was
of it,
cool,
'cause
yeah.
we always see the
Exactly.
Flyer side.
Yeah, but even like before that, like going from Boston to New York, like all my buddies were like, "What
Right.
the hell are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you go to any
Yeah.
team." They were like, "Why don't you go to the Bruins?" I'm like, "Listen, you don't understand. Like, you go to a team where you think you're gonna play.
Right.
Like, the AHL is a great league, but like the main goal as a player is to spend as little time as possible in the AHL. Like,
Right.
no one wants to
Yeah.
like
Slug
you
on
know,
the
yeah,
jungle that
exactly.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I met with my agent. We figured it out. We narrowed it down to a couple of teams, and ultimately chose New York. And it worked out. I made the team. AV was my coach, and it worked out well. But playing the Flyers, it was always I knew nothing about Philly besides the fans because it was always a primetime game, Saturday or
Right.
Yeah,
Sunday
yeah,
at
sure,
1 or
yeah.
2 every
Mhm.
year,
Yep.
2 or 3 times a year. So we would train in at like I don't know 5:30 the night before, go to dinner, go to bed, wake up, and then you have that weird like lunch or breakfast. Should I eat before the game?
Yeah.
1 o'clock game, and then you're home in New York by 7 p.m. So like I knew absolutely nothing besides how crazy these fans were. Like they were the only fans that would be screaming and swearing at you coming out of the locker room, like
Oh yeah.
of the whole
Yeah.
league.
Yeah.
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 And so that's all I knew about Philly. And then I remember I got traded here. Chuck Fletcher picked me up, kind of drove me around the city, and that's like the first time I actually got to know the city. And then I signed here like 5 days later.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's fun. It's fun to hear like the other side from like because I know in Philly, like especially when I first got here, and even now, like that's a rivalry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You get jacked up for it, but it used to be ugly.
yeah.
Like it could get ugly. It's cool to hear
In
from
my
that side of it.
5 years, I think we had one really, really ugly game. It was at MSG where there was like 6 or 7 fights.
Yeah.
And it was funny, like, the benches are right next to each other, and Raffle is sitting there. He's like, "Hey, Hazy, do you want to go next shift?" And I'm like, "Shit." I'm like, "I haven't fought in the league yet. The only guy that's ever challenged me is Ryan Getzlaff. I can't fight."
Oh, you
that
can't
guy."
find Gets.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm
no.
like, I look down, and Raffle's best friend's at Michael Grabner, the other Austrian
sure,
guy in the
yeah.
league, and I'm like, "Hey, Grabs, is Raff tough?" And he's like, "I wouldn't fight him." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, I'm all set. No,
Right.
thanks, but no thanks." And there's like 4 fights going on right now. He's like, "Next shift." I'm like, "Yeah, no thanks." See ya."
I'm good.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's one of my coolest NHL moments happened my first shift in Winnipeg. I'm there. We're playing against the Wild, and I'm centering line A and Ehlers, and we're second line, so we're second shift up. And I hop over the boards, and Minnie just dumped it in, so it's a full 10-guy change. And I step on the ice, and all of a sudden the whole crowd stands up and starts clapping. And I'm like, "This is like okay, what's going on?" Like I'm trying to look around, and I loop in. I get a puck pass to me, and then they start going wild. I'm like, "Holy shit! These people are standing up for me. Like this
Oh,
is
that's
this is
awesome.
insane. Like that wouldn't happen at MSG. Like MSG is a great building. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most historic building in the world, but like it's they live and die
Yeah.
Winnipeg Jets
They feel
hockey
so
there.
connected to their players.
It's
that-
great. And then the playoffs.
yeah.
The
Oh,
whiteout
the whiteout is
is
Oh, that's
insane.
cool, man.
insane. So my 2 of my favorite moments, top like 5 moments in NHL happened in Winnipeg.
Wow.
Like it's a really cool. And then like I go, you know how they have the underground city there.
Yeah, sure.
So I go to Starbucks. I'm living in the Fairmont, that hotel,
Mhm.
and I go to Starbucks, and I'm sitting there just having a coffee by myself, and some guys like, "Are you Kevin Hayes?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you mind if I sit down with you?" I'm like, "Fuck me." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, my mom's coming soon." My mom's not in Winnipeg, but I'm like, "Yeah, she's on her way here." He's like, "Oh, I'll just sit here until she comes." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." And he starts like dissecting our power play to me over coffee. I'm like, "This is just a fan."
Yeah,
Like,
right.
and so I'm like, "Oh my God, these people live and die hockey here."
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, my mom needs my help. I gotta go." So I leave. I stop in the convenience store. I'm only been there for like 4 days now. And I stop in the convenience store to like pick up like toothpaste or something. And the guy in front of me is like, "Yeah, I went," not talking to me. He's literally just in front of me paying. He's like, "I went to the Jets game last night." And the cashier is like, "Oh yeah, we got that new kid, Hayes." And they don't know I'm behind him.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, he doesn't skate well. He passes too much." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like
Picking your
this
game
wouldn't
apart.
happen. Like this wouldn't happen in Winnipeg. Like, you know, because it wouldn't happen in New York.
In New York,
'cause,
no.
like,
Right.
There's so many
People
other
aren't paying.
things.
Yeah, too many other
Exactly.
things they're not paying attention.
So like it was really cool to be there and,
Yeah.
and to like have that Canadian market. And
No, for sure.
I mean, they probably don't love me in Winnipeg because I didn't really help the team that much. I got
You
sent
played
there
20
to
games.
help.
How many games there?
I think I was there for like 16 before the playoffs.
right.
And then, but I mean, it was cool moments.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
cool there because they're like a tight knit group in that locker room
Yeah.
because they don't have a lot else to do, especially when it's cold there.
Oh yeah.
We spend so much time together, but yeah, it was definitely different than Philly and New York
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. With when you talk about you know, the locker room, and there's obviously some other funny characters in there, and you're obviously
Yeah.
one of them. Like, who comes to mind like right away when you talk about
I mean,
That's-
Jake's a huge personality.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He
And
is
then even
funny.
when I showed up here, like when you play against a team so much, like we're in the Metro and I was in New York, you kind of put personalities to people you don't know, just how the way they play.
Sure,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
I'm guilty for that.
like you're like, oh, I hope that guy's a bad guy because I hate him. on the
Yeah,
ice.
right,
Yeah.
You know what
right.
I mean? Like, and then I show up here. I'm like, the only two guys I think I'm gonna have a problem with this year is Konechny and Scott Lyon, because I hate them on the ice. I'm like, there's no way these two guys can be good guys.
Always
Like they just
They're
can't
just
be
good
guys.
chirpers,
They
man.
can't. Like no one on the team can like them. They just have no friends. I know it.
right.
And I show up, and it's like the two guys I love the most.
Mm.
Like it's TK and Sandy. They have their relationship.
Oh my
Lyon
God.
and
It's
Raffle. Like
unbelievable.
the team has a bunch of funny guys.
Yeah.
I wish that everyone could be mic'd up and really
Oh,
get to see the personalities. But we have a good group. The locker room's pretty chill and fun until it really needs to be serious. And then you have G, who likes to fuck around and stuff, but he's also the captain and knows when to be serious. So he
Yeah.
kind of sets the tone. And then you have like me and Jake that kind of keep it light and
Yeah,
work hard, but keep it light as
yeah.
well.
You got to have those roles
Yeah,
for sure. It's
exactly.
the glue, man,
Yeah.
for sure.
so the bubble. You've heard some people talk about what was it like?
Yeah, it was different. It was like a high class prison, a nice high class prison.
Well said.
Yeah. We had the same schedule every single day, and we were fenced in by these like huge black fences. We were lucky of the 4 bubbles that were in the playoffs. We had the best one by far. We had 2 pools, tennis courts, basketball court, ping pong, 3 restaurants. We got to use the BMO Field in Toronto, which was Toronto FC, I think their soccer name is.
Yeah.
So that was available for us, so we could just go hang out there, play spike ball, bocce ball, frisbee, or whatever. These other bubbles didn't even have AC, I heard, which
Oh,
is
really?
which is
boy.
insane. Yeah,
hard
like
to
in
believe.
Edmonton, the AC kind of went out. I heard. Yeah, and so it wasn't for me. I don't have any kids, so it wasn't too bad. I feel bad for the guys that have wives and kids
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
tough,
Yeah,
right?
it's
It's
a long time. Man.
yeah, it's probably took a toll on them more than me. I got to hang out with the guys, so I was pumped.
So
Yeah,
Provy said
exactly,
Ivan
like,
was
it
on,
was-
and he said it was for me. It was like going to hockey camp.
exactly.
You know?
It was we got paid to go to hockey camp. It did get old, for sure, but then you get more important games as it's getting older.
Yeah.
So it gets more exciting
Right.
while getting old off the ice. But no, overall, it's a good experience. Something that we can all say we were part of. Hopefully, it never happens again.
Yeah,
I
no
hope
kidding.
so, yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. You wake up in the morning, you go to practice, you get to do your COVID testing every day. Can't leave until you get the thing up your nose. Get in the bus, go to like the beginning. It was crazy. It was a legit kids camp. Like there was 4 arenas, but there was how many teams? 12 teams were
Yeah.
there, I think. So 4
Yeah,
arenas,
12.
3 teams got nominated to each arena. If you were the 3rd team that day, the ice was complete shit.
Oh,
Couldn't even
God,
shoot.
Think of that.
But like but everyone had to do it eventually. If you
Yeah,
were
right.
3rd on day 1, you were 1st the next day. So everyone kind of was in the same boat. And the weirdest thing probably was the first preseason game when you go out. There's not a single person in the crowd
it's gotta be
for
so
warm ups. Like warm ups are fun. You get to mess around. Your teammates mess around with you,
Yeah.
and you see everyone going crazy in the crowd. And that was non-existent. Like it was really weird. Like you could literally hear the other team's conversation
Yeah.
during the 3 line drills. Like that was weird. But then as it got going, like, our first 3 games they were serious, but it wasn't do or die. We were in 4th place going into it.
You
So
could only go
if
better.
we lost all 3 games, we were still in 4th place. We won all 3 games and went to
Mhm.
1st place.
Mhm.
Those games weren't as high intense as the other games, but it was a nice little like way to kind of get into it. And then once the playoffs started, it was electric. Honestly, the fans would have made it better. Obviously, like anything, if people are watching you, it's more fun. But yeah, every game got more and more intense. And then you get to game 7 of the second round, and you're 1 game away from the conference finals. And,
Yeah.
but no, I would say it was overall it was a fun situation, a fun experience. I had fun. I became a gamer again. Still am. So
Yeah.
played Xbox every day.
Yeah.
Unlimited surf and turf in
Exactly,
the
yeah,
high-end
you-
prison.
Yeah, high
Yeah,
end.
like, it was a nice high end, really fancy prison.
Now,
Yeah, right.
did you see Rod Brendamore out there working out on the
Yeah.
field? Did you go stand beside him, take your shirt
No,
off?
not me.
I was just making sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think anyone would.
But
In the
again, it
lo-
was weird too. Like so the BMO field was in our bubble, but the other bubble was allowed to come hang out at the BMO. So it was weird. Like, I don't know, you just played the Montreal Canadiens in game 1 and there was a couple fights and everyone tensions were running high, and then the next day you have a day off and they're on the same soccer field as you. Like,
Yeah.
obviously we're in a day where nothing's gonna happen, but it's still awkward. Like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, for sure.
like
yeah.
they're right there, and then we go to dinner in the BMO, and they're right next to us. It's just something that would never happen if it wasn't COVID, obviously. But
Yeah.
Right.
so it was weird kind of seeing them, and they weren't in the Islanders were in our actual hotel the second round. So
Oh.
like I'm in line getting coffee before the game, and there's just 3
Yeah.
guys in the Islanders in front of me. Like, it's just like, oh, I'll see you on the ice. In
Yeah, right.
3
It's so
hours.
different,
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
We'll go at it soon.
Yeah. And like TK just runs his mouth. I'm sure the bubble wanted to kill him the whole
No,
time
I'm
he
sure.
was there. I'm sure Patty Maroon wanted them dead one night. Like, yeah, it was funny.